Assalamualaikum. My name is Fatin Arifah binti Shamsuri and my matric number is 267782. Today I will present about our assignment, individual assignment. So for the subject construction technology. Okay, first, project life cycle. First phase is initiation phase. We have to create and evaluate the project in order to determine if it is feasible and if it should be undertaken at the beginning of the project. And a suitable response to the need is documented in a business case with recommended solution options. A feasibility study is conducted to examine whether each option clearly identifies the project objective and a final recommended solution is determined. And then, when a solution is approved, a project is initiated to implement the approved solution. And for this, a project manager is appointed. And at this stage, the major deliverables and the participating work groups are identified. Second, planning phase. The planning phase involves further development of the project in detail to meet the project's objective, and the team identifies all of the work to be done, and the project's tasks and resource requirements are identified along with the strategy for producing them. And in a broader sense, identification of each activity as well as their resource allocation is also carried out. A project plan outlining the activities, tasks, dependency, and time frames is created. Required a document to show the quality plan, providing quality targets, assurance, and control measures, along with an acceptance plan listing the criteria to be met to gain customer acceptance. And at this point, the project will have been planned in detail and is ready to be executed. Execution phase, the third phase. This is the implementation phase where the project plan is put into motion and the work of the project is performed practically on site. It is essential to maintain control and communicate as needed during each implementation stages. And progress should be continuously monitored and appropriate adjustments are made and recorded as variances from the original plan. A project manager is the one who spends most of the time in this step. And throughout the project implementation, people carry out the task and progress information is being reported through regular project team meetings. And the status report should always highlight the probable endpoint in terms of cost, schedule, and quality of deliverables. And each project deliverable produced should be reviewed for quality and measured against the acceptance criteria. And when deliverables have been produced and the customer has agreed on the final solution, the project is said to be ready for closure. And then the fourth phase is performance and monitoring. This stage is all related to the measurement of progress and performance to make sure that items are tracking with the project management scheduling, and this phase regularly happens at the same time as the execution phase. And the closure and the last phase, closure phase, handling of a project documentation to the business, and then termination of supplier contracts, releasing project resources, communicate the closure of the project to all stakeholders, and last and final is to conduct lessons, learn studies to examine what went well and what didn't. These activities involved during construction project. Okay, first, preliminaries. Preliminaries are the cost of the site-specific overheads of any given project. They are the costs that are directly related to the running of the project that are not accounted for under labor or material. Second, demolition. Demolition is the dismantling, razing, destroying, or wrecking of any building or structure or any part thereof. And demolition work involve many of the hazards associated with construction. However, demolition involve additional hazard due to unknown factors, which makes demolition work particularly dangerous. And then excavation and foundation. Excavation is the equipment heavy task of removing the earth from the allotted area in order to make room for the foundation. And depending on the depth and hardness of the soil, the trench may need to be reinforced as earth is removed. Concrete and brickwork. Okay, brick is a type of block used to build walls, pavements, and other elements in masonry construction. Bricks are laid in courses and numerous patterns known as bonds, collectively known as brickwork, and may be laid in various kinds of mortar to hold the bricks together to make a durable structure. And then finishes. Building finishes comprise of plastering, pointing, painting, varnishing, white and color washing, or distempering. And these finishes fundamentally form a protective coating to the disclosed surface and thereby increase the lifespan of the materials. M&E work. M&E in construction refers to a mechanical and electrical system. Mechanical system can include elements of infrastructure, plant and machinery, tool and components, heating and ventilation, and so on. Okay, and then external work. External work describe primarily the areas immediately surrounding the building, and provisions include minor roads in a housing estate, paved areas, boundary walls, railings, fencing, and turf areas. And then next is construction activities. Construction activities is an activity is operation or process consuming time and possibly other resources. An individual or work team can manage an activity. It is a measurable element of the total project program. And then variation order. Variation order refers to any changes from the scope, plan, specification, or contract document in the construction project. And then progress payment. In construction, a progress payment is a partial payment that covers the amount of work that has been completed up to the point of invoicing, and there are several ways to structure these payments. And the most common ways of billing for progress payments are billing by stage, invoicing by percentage of completion, and then certificate of practical completion. A certificate issued to the contractor by the superintendent or the superintendent's representative when the works under the contract have reached the stage of completion described in the general condition of contract. And then certificate of fitness. The last one, certificate of fitness. Certificate of fitness for occupation, CF, or we call CFO, is a certificate issued by the local authorities under the Uniform Building Bylaws of the Street, Drainage and Building. So we have about 12 activities involved during the construction project. Okay, next. Okay, key players. The owner or employer. Owner is also a client. Owner is the person who actually arrange money for a particular project, and owner is a real instinct who has to launch idea. An owner may be a person or government, He provides funds. He is a funding agency for the project, and scope definition is also provided by the owner. The designer or estimator. The designer may be an architect or an engineer. He designed the project on the basis of his previous experience. And designer must have pre-qualification, and owner will select a designer which is expert in his work. Okay, and architect or planner. Architects are artists. They combine architectural history, science, and art within the built environment to produce a design that will not only meet the client's requirements but also enhance the environment. Okay, and then for CNS engineers, construction engineers is a professional discipline that deals with the designing, planning, construction and management of infrastructures such as roads, tunnels, bridges, airports, railroads, facilities, buildings, dams, utilities, and other projects. M&E engineers. M&E in construction are like I said before, from this slide, I have mentioned M&E engineers. So M&E in construction refers to mechanical and electrical system. The term M&E engineer are often taken to be interchangeable with building services or building services engineer. And then QS. Okay, QS, quantity surveyors, are responsible for managing all aspects of the contractual and financial side of construction projects, and quantity surveyors manage the cost on a construction project, and they help to ensure that the construction project is completed within its projected budget. And then the constructor. A constructor is an individual who utilizes skills and knowledge acquired through education and experience to manage the execution of all or a portion of a construction project. A constructor is primarily employed by or works as a general contractor or a subcontractor. Okay, and then project planning and controlling. Okay, project monitoring and control activities take place in parallel with project execution process group activities, so that while the project work is being executed, the project is being monitored and controlled by implementing the appropriate level of oversight and corrective action. The project is observed and measured regularly against the project plan to ensure that the project is within acceptable variances of cost, schedule, and scope, and also that risks and issues are continually monitored and corrected as needed. The main purpose of monitoring and controlling activities is to be proactive in finding issues ahead of time and taking corrective action. Corrective action can require revisiting planning process group and updating the project management plan as needed, with the ultimate goal of bringing the project back in line with project objective and constraints and improving future execution to avoid repeating the same issues. The monitoring and controlling project work process collects, measures and disseminates performance information and assess measures and trends to forecast potential items requiring corrective action. And this includes monitoring project risks and ensuring that they are being managed according to the project's risk plans. And outputs include first, recommended corrective action, second, recommended preventive actions, third, forecast, fourth, recommended defect repair, and fifth is requested changes. Okay, the last one, a successful construction. First, implement continuous planning. Construction managers should start planning long before a project begins and continue to revise and develop the plan until the project ends. The design, pre-construction and procurement stages of each construction project require immense planning, and each may need to be revised as the next phase begins. And second, build an effective communication flow. Communication is crucial in every phase of any construction project. Building an effective communication flow will facilitate coordination between all parties. Transparent communication will make the process smoother and reduce the number of emails and phone calls whenever there is an issue. One of the simplest ways to create an effective communication flow is using a centralized communication system. By synchronizing comments, photos, documents, and calendars in one location, we can monitor, update, cost, and scheduling changes as they occur. And third, re-evaluate workflow. The purpose of construction project management is to ensure that the project is completed on time, within budget, and reaches the target. However, even if the project runs well, we still have to evaluate it. There might be better ways to manage the project or overcome issues. Without a complete assessment, we will never know what we can improve for better profits. The best way to have a successful construction project is to continually evaluate the way we manage it and ask involved parties to provide feedback on our workflow. And the last one, control costs the smarter way. The permits, wages, materials, and equipment required for project are often exchanged between multiple financial sources and vendors. And from the initial bidding process to the closing of a project, construction managers are responsible for tracking and monitoring all costs, especially those who related to the initial budget. So that's only from my explanation and of course for my explanation and presentation. So I hope you will enjoy. Thank you.